People of the internet! Welcome back to another video. It is I, Don Thomas, back in here with another one. As always, folks, the likes, the comments, the subscribes have all been greatly appreciated. Thank you so much for the support on this channel. Without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into today's topic, folks. I got a video pulled up here. Comes from ABC News, entitled, Gen Z Pivots to Blue-Collar Work as AI Impacts the Job Market. Now, of course, folks, you know on this channel, I typically speak on things that surround these topics, such as Gen Z and AI and job market or lack thereof and things of that nature, folks. There's a lot of things that are happening in this world, as I always mention, folks, that I feel like some of us can just use as take-home value, right? Whether these things are not specifically happening to us or these are not specifically our concerns, it's good to know the pulse, I guess you could say, in terms of the things that are happening in the society in which we currently dwell. So let's get into this video. Of course, it's a very interesting topic. I spoke on another video, of course, not too long ago about the CEO of Fiverr, who himself said that AI was coming for his jobs and the jobs of maybe his staff as well, too. So let's get into this topic. Let's see what Gen Z has to say about AI and their impact on the workforce.
Well, a new article from Business Insider is shedding light on Gen Z's pivot from college to blue-collar jobs, from student debt to the rise in AI, how Americans are losing faith in the college degree. Amanda Hoover is here. She's the author of this article and is joining me now. Amanda, thank you so much for joining me to talk about this. This is so interesting. You mentioned in the article just 22% of U.S. adults say college was worth it if a student had to take out loans to attend. So how have those loans pushed Gen Z toward blue-collar jobs?
There's definitely a lot of young people that are looking at college and questioning, is this worth it? You know, the time, the effort, but also the debt. We see those numbers in the tens of thousands on average, rising over time. So why not? Some young people are thinking, if I don't know what I want to do and I don't really want to go to college, like, why force it? Why not find something that works better for me and maybe doesn't involve sitting at a desk all day or lets me be my own boss?
Right, they can go to a trade school or just get a certificate in some sort of field. You also write in the article about how concerns about AI are a major factor in the careers people choose. So what does it signify for the future? I mean, I've heard people talk about this, like AI is after your job or robots will take over. So what does that mean about the future and where we're headed?
Yes, so many jobs that were really looked at as lucrative and stable. You know, think about software engineering, consulting, even legal marketing jobs. All of these are kind of at risk of automation. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but there's a concern that entry-level jobs will be the first to go. So then again, why take out tens of thousands of dollars in student loan debt if you're not going to have that safe cushion of these high-paying jobs? Instead, right, AI actually helps people in some of these trade jobs. If they want to start their own business, it makes it easier to automate appointment scheduling. It makes it easier to craft emails, to do your own marketing materials if you don't have experience in that, or to send out emails to clients and figure out what to say as you're starting out. So I spoke to some young business owners in landscaping, pressure washing, who are like using AI to help them with some of this while running their own business and doing so quite successfully for very young people.
Yeah, and we met earlier in the hair and makeup room, and I thought it was interesting because our hairstylist was saying AI is not going to take her job. Yeah. She'll stay employed. So fields like that are kind of pretty stable, right? What would you say are some of the current fastest growing jobs and fields?
Yeah, there's expected job growth to outpace, you know, the averages in electricians, construction, HVAC servicing. There's going to be a lot of people retiring who work in these fields, and an increased demand, especially with construction and with clean energy as well. You know, there's these new jobs that are coming out, and they don't require a traditional four-year college degree, maybe some vocational training, but they're things that we're going to have a growing demand for and potentially a labor shortage. So we can only expect maybe that wages might rise in these as well as there's more demand for people to come and work in these fields.
Yeah, just a sign of the times, a different era. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about this. Senior correspondent at Business Insider, Amanda Hoover. Thank you so much.
Pause right there. So there you have it, folks. Alternative options for Gen Z or college students, high school students getting ready to embark on college. Makes me kind of wonder, of course, exactly that. Like, the times that we're living in, how valuable is the college degree? In spite of AI technology, in spite of people waking up to the heavy burden of student loan debt with no guarantee of a lucrative job role, therefore after that. AI coming for specific roles. I like that it did touch on a lot of the crafts. Of course, I could pull that back up. A lot of the things that, the jobs that are still would most likely still be in demand. Let me see if I can pull that up as well too. But it just kind of makes me think, like, yeah, man, like this is kind of where we're at. This is the current structure of our society. And ever since, of course, the pandemic, as we've been saying as well too, like jobs just look different. The workforce looks different, right? Fastest growing jobs, of course, I just got the screen here. Wind turbine technicians, right? Some people, we got to think outside of the box. Wind turbine technicians, solar panel installers, some roles in healthcare, and some roles in tech. Now, of course, tech space, of course, where I'm loosely familiar with is where I worked within the corporate tech space for the past like 3 years or so. And even I saw changes coming in as well too. We were always having meetings and discussions of, the AI that's available now that's cutting into what our graphic designers do, what the engineers do, what the writers do, which I was, right? AI is definitely going to, some people don't necessarily see it as a threat. Some people see it as a threat. Some people see it as an ally in the work that they're already doing. But it's safe to say that it will cause some type of effect, both negative and positive, as we move forward. As the AI starts to get a lot more advanced, as more and more students continue to grow and question if they want to even do the whole college thing, man, these are some alternatives. I think there was another screen that I saw here as well too, in terms of some of the jobs that will always be in demand, or I guess in good standing. Of course, there's another screen I saw here. Jobs protected to grow: construction, plumbing, electrical work, and transportation. Folks, this field isn't going anywhere. Construction workers, plumbers, even with all the advancements of AI, of course, again, as you saw, AI will maybe help in the assisting in some of these roles, but these roles, these are some trades that are pretty solid. Of course, you see here, jobs protected to grow faster than the average job growth rate: construction, plumbing, electrical work, and transportation. That's just to name a few. What about agriculture? What about HVAC? What about, there's a lot of jobs that are just not going anywhere. Of course, your beauty stylists and, barbers, whatever the case is. You can think outside of the box in terms of what work looks like for you. And this is not necessarily just a message to Gen Z. I feel like this is a message to all of us, right? Anybody that's out there right now, regardless of your age, regardless of your blue collar or white collar, man, start taking these things into consideration. Of course, I'm sure you already, maybe depending on what sector you're in, already started feeling the effects of, again, just the job market, AI, this, that, and the other. So this is just another wake-up call. And it serves as a solid reminder of some of the things that we should be anticipating when we're now guiding the generation behind us, and even us in our specific roles and where we're at in our world, if our job is indeed still going to be secure with the advancement of all these new technologies. So yeah, I am definitely a big advocate of the blue collar trades. I think if you ask me, of course, I would recommend, if I'm a young student, I have an older niece, of course, who's getting ready to graduate from high school. And these are conversations we always have with her parents, myself, in terms of her options as opposed to the high school, college, bachelor's and master's, and like there's other ways to get to your destination. I feel like is the major takeaway. And of course, you got to take the things within your control and your interest, and then the things outside of your control. So just society and the market and the jobs that are in demand and AI and all these other things. You got to take a lot more into consideration when pursuing the idea of going to a 4-year degree, specifically outside of high school, right? There's a lot more options that are available to you. You do have to find things that are more fitting to you, and you do have to find things that are fitting to the times that we're currently in. So those are my thoughts. Of course, I want to hear yours down in the comment section below. What do you make of this, Gen Z specifically, or anybody that's just actively in the workforce? Blue collar jobs seem to be a lucrative means, as opposed to that 4-year degree that may just end you up in 6-figure debt, if not more, right? Blue collar jobs, even maybe taking off a year to kind of get some things formulated within your own mind as well too. There's other alternatives. Don't feel like you have to follow the status quo and the structure of, I went to high school, now I gotta go to college. Not necessarily. This video helped depict that there are indeed other lucrative and potential options that you can entertain, and seeing to it that you can still be a solid contributor in this game called life, right? Those are my thoughts. Of course, I want to hear yours down in the comment section below. As always, the likes, the comments, the subscribes have all been greatly appreciated. I'll catch you on the next one.